Today is Friday, August 22nd, 2025. Welcome to This Week in Natural Refrigerants News, where we recap the top stories on naturalrefrigerants.com. Just a note, this podcast is generated and read by artificial intelligence and may contain pronunciation errors.
We're your hosts, AT and MO, and the articles for today's podcast were organized by naturalrefrigerants.com's managing editor and written by its writers. You can find links to each article in the show notes if you want to dig deeper.
Right. So let's jump right in. First up, some big takeaways from Atmosphere America 2025. Copeland seems to be really prioritizing CO2, R744, for refrigeration in North America.
Absolutely. That was a key message. And their CO2 lab in Ohio sounds pretty active.
Yeah, they mentioned engaging over 60 companies there, working on energy-saving strategies.
And they found some really interesting stuff. Testing showed putting a variable speed drive on the smaller parallel compressors. Well, it doubled the energy saving.
Doubled? Wow.
Yeah, doubled. That's significant.
Definitely. And what about defrost?
Yes, the hot gas CO2 defrost. On a 3.7-meter low-temp island case, it took just 25 minutes.
Which is pretty quick compared to electric, right?
Exactly. About half the time. Less downtime, better efficiency for stores.
Makes sense. And Copeland's also pushing education, I saw?
Through their E360 Resource Hub. And they're partnering with groups like the North American Sustainable Refrigeration Council, NESRC, for technician training.
Good to see that support structure growing.
It really is, building that whole ecosystem.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. There was an interesting study presented at the Adaptation 2025 conference, University of Southern Denmark.
That's the one. A really compelling case for integrated HVAC&R in supermarkets.
So what was the setup they looked at?
They modeled integrating an isobutane R600A heat pump into a standard transcritical CO2 booster system. This was for a supermarket in Stockholm.
And the results?
Pretty staggering, actually. They found it could cut space heating operating costs by up to 91%.
91% compared to what?
Compared to using a typical natural gas boiler. And get this, greenhouse gas emissions cut by up to 94%.
That's massive.
It is. And what's maybe even more fascinating is the potential to sell excess heat back to the district heating network.
So the supermarket could actually make money from its heating system.
Potentially, yes. The study showed it could sometimes lead to negative net operating costs. Imagine that.
Wild. How do they optimize that?
It involves dynamically adjusting things, like the gas cooler pressure and the subcooling temperature. They have to adjust based on real-time electricity prices to maximize heat recovery when power is cheap and conserve when it's expensive. Smart stuff.
Very smart. Okay, let's head over to Denmark again. Solid Energy. They seem to be doing well with large hydrocarbon heat pumps.
Yeah, significant strides there. Over 150 units sold since 2018, large-scale ones.
And these are for district heating and industrial use.
Correct. Quite versatile. They offer really high temperature flows from -30 all the way up to 170 degrees Celsius.
Which is -22 to 338 Fahrenheit. That's a wide range.
Yeah. It really is. And they offer flexibility in refrigerants, too, capacities from 200 to 1,200 kilowatts.
What refrigerants are they using?
You can get them configured with R290 propane, N-butane, which is R600, isobutane R600A, and even isopentane R601A. Depends on the temperature needs.
Tailored solutions. And you mentioned large scale.
Definitely. They've got 2 huge 10-megawatt systems already running, integrated into Denmark's district heating networks. That's serious capacity.
Okay, so with all this activity, what's the view on the component side? I saw Embraco, the Nidec global appliance brand, is making a move.
A pretty big one, yeah. They're officially entering the residential and commercial HVAC sector.
With what kind of offering?
A new scroll compressor line. It ranges from 1.2 up to 35 horsepower. And notably, propane, R290, is their main natural refrigerant offering across various HVAC and refrigeration applications.
Interesting. So Nidec's VP of HVAC, Tom Borkin, seems optimistic about R290.
Very optimistic, or bullish, as they say, especially for heat pumps and residential systems. He sees significant growth coming.
What's driving that, in his view?
Well, market momentum is part of it. But he also pointed to impending PFAS restrictions, particularly in Europe and Japan, and potentially the U.S. too. Those regulations are really pushing the market towards natural alternatives like R290.
Right, the regulatory landscape is definitely a factor.
What a huge one.
Okay, finally, let's touch on mobile air conditioning. R290 on trains in Finland.
Yeah, quite interesting. Finland's VR group is getting 20 regional Flirt Art trains, and they'll have R290 HVAC systems.
Who's making those units?
Leaper Transportation Systems. They're in series production now. They're highlighting R290's low GWP and, importantly, its cooling performance.
This is the first time Leaper has used R290 in trains, is it?
No, it builds on the experience with Deutsche Bahn in Germany. Their positive results with R290 HVAC on the ICE3 Neo trains.
Hmm.
Well, it seems to be changing perceptions.
About safety, presumably.
Mhm.
Propane on a train has always raised eyebrows.
Exactly. It indicates maybe a fundamental shift, that the industry is getting more comfortable with managing propane safely in rail applications.
And Leaper works with CO2, too, don't they?
They do. They also develop CO2 R744 HVAC units. Their earlier tests actually showed about a 30% increase in energy efficiency for CO2 in rail.
So innovation happening with multiple natural refrigerants in the mobile sector? Good to see.
Definitely. Lots of movement across the board this week.
This is AT&MO.
And this has been the Week in Natural Refrigerant News.